Welcome to the SciFi Pubcast. Come for a drink, but stay for the speculation. Shield practice? We're not in the mood. But a mood is a thing for cattle and love playing, not podcasting. So we're talking all things Dune and Frank Herbert. The spice must flow. The sleeper has awakened. Okay, you get the idea. You better grab a refreshing drink if you're going to survive this episode. Welcome to the desert. And no, Derek is not serving worms from the kitchen. This is the SciFi Pubcast. Greetings. Welcome to the SciFi Pubcast, the podcast that tries to be a pub, and perhaps someday a pub that tries to be a podcast. And I am looking around the bar today, and who do I see? Well, we have our two regulars. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Joel.
And we have Derek. Hi, Derek.
Master Chef reporting for duty.
Oh, God. So we have Carrie Simpson and Derek Beebe. And I usually start with Carrie, which is probably a wise move, but I'm just going to need to get this out of the way because, you know, let's try to spice things up a bit. Derek, how's the kitchen doing?
I always start with the bad news first, too.
And is there bad news?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of sand on the floor, but we can sweep that up. I've been making sand cake in honor of Dune. It's pretty much like the normal cake, but with a little more sand in it than normal.
Right.
Is this like a take on your mud pies from last time?
Yes. Well, okay, so here's
crap.
the thing. Putting sand in food is a time-honored tradition that goes back thousands of years. It's done to save on cost-cutting measures or when you don't have enough of something. So I've already been putting sand in the salt, the cinnamon, the bread yeast, the flour. Nobody notices.
Right. Any particular sand? Is it imported from, I don't know, Mars?
No, I just get it from the beach in LA. Once you pick out the hypodermic needles, it's pretty much fine.
Wait. How you're on the other side of the country? How are you coming out to LA for sand?
Right, but the bar is
I'm
an
not sending it to
interdimensional
you.
portal that defies time and space. So
Okay.
I just have to step out the front door.
So are we more like Malibu beaches, or we're talking about like was it Long Point, or was it Long Beach, or
Long Beach?
Or Venice Beach? What are we talking about?
I don't know what those words mean.
Fair enough. I can picture you in LA right now. Okay, Derek.
I will run away.
Oh God. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. My parents are in town. I'm about to go, so I'm going to go see them. And I've just been milling around the house all weekend mostly.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Superb.
Yeah.
I'm happy to report that I'm not as hungover now than I was in the last recording. So
are you feeling okay?
I'm working on it. I'm not 100%, but I did take a power nap, and I'm drinking my third cup of coffee. So eventually I'll switch over to tequila. But right now, I think the world is good to me. Life's good.
The booze must flow.
Yes, the booze must flow. Yes, there is that. Yes, because we're talking about Dune. Dune as in the novels and the TV miniseries, and of course David Lynch's film version and a bunch of other stuff. I'm excited. What about you guys?
I'm excited.
Oh, I thought we were doing Doom, that movie with The Rock. I researched about the entirely wrong thing.
Yeah, that's all right. You never say anything that insightful anyway, sir.
Well, they're both science fiction.
I wasn't going to say it.
That's terrible. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, maybe we should start by comparing our Dune knowledge base, like what we have read/watched.
Okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah, that works.
So myself, for example, I grew up on the David Lynch movie. I remember loving it as a kid. I haven't seen it in decades, probably, but I remember really liking it. And I watched the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries when they came out, circa 2000 and 2003. They were all right. I read the first 6 books as a kid, the first one especially over and over again. I remember reading that a lot, but I have not read any of the 13 spin-off novels that have come out in the past decade or two.
Which is amazing considering that Frank Herbert passed away in the 80s.
Yeah, his son and Kevin J. Anderson have been continuing that legacy.
Oh, right. Okay. A good point to make. Yes, Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. How about you, Carrie? What's your knowledge base when it comes to the Duneverse?
I'd seen bits and pieces of the David Lynch movie off and on. My best friend is a big Kyle MacLachlan fan. I remember being okay. It was okay. Certainly, watching Sting helped. And
let's not forget Sean Young, but let's go on. Okay.
You can watch Sean Young all you want. I'll watch Sting and Kyle MacLachlan. I didn't actually read the first book until after I saw the sci-fi miniseries. That's what finally got me to read the first Dune. And then when I heard that the second miniseries was coming out, I read through Dune Messiah and Children of Dune as fast as I could before that ran. And then I got up to God Emperor and had to stop for a while because my brain was about to implode. But I did finally finish the original 6 books a few years ago now.
Wow. So out of all three of us, you're the most knowledgeable on at least the Dune novels, at least. So, yes, so you're the subject matter expert.
No.
SME. You're the SME for this show.
Oh, great.
There you go.
I will try to live up to the task.
Now, let me tell you guys my knowledge base of Dune. So, the film by David Lynch came out in 1984. I was 10 years old. I remember going to the movie theater with 2 of my friends. I remember my mom waiting in the lobby being impatient because it was such a long movie. And I loved it. I have a confession to make. I love David Lynch's version of Dune. I have both the DVD and a Blu-ray version of it. And in truth, I've watched that film, that flick, just about as many times as I've watched Star Wars. I know it's heresy, but I really like Lynch's version of Dune. And that's what I think about when I see Dune. I know there's problems with the movie, but it was my gateway into the world of David Lynch. And I can tell you, David Lynch's world is pretty fucked up. And I love it. And just a little aside, a lot of the actors you see in Lynch's version of Dune, well, they were in Twin Peaks, playing very different roles.
I'm shocked.
So it's like, because Lynch likes to use the same actors, and it's great watching these actors play roles that are, you look at it going, what? He's doing what? That's not him. It's beautiful.
Now, question, Joel, when you say you've seen Dune almost as many times as you've seen Star Wars, are you talking about the original cut of the movie or the extended release?
What, you're talking about Star Wars itself?
No, I'm talking about Dune. There's a 3-hour 10-minute special edition.
Okay, no, haven't seen that. The Blu-ray I have has a documentary on it where it actually has the deleted scenes. So I've seen the deleted scenes, but I haven't seen like a director's cut version of Dune.
Even I saw that a lot as a kid.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I don't remember the backstory on it, but obviously there is some contentious production history. So it was released as an Alan Smithy film because David Lynch refused to have his name on it.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe the 3-hour cut says Alan Smithy film, but yeah, there is a much longer version of the movie that I've seen on cable.
I've heard rumors of an 8-hour version of the movie, which is just ridiculous.
I know there's a lot of unused footage and just stand-in slides when they were actually editing the film, because that's on the documentary on the Blu-ray. So you would have like insert this story there, and then it just wasn't working. So David Lynch had to create like a narrative to tie up like 2 years of history in like 20 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, in my view, actually worked a lot better. It's like, I'm of the school of thought that I really don't want to hear about the backstory as much as I want to hear of a good tale. That's the problem I have with, say, Han Solo on the latest Solo film. Is that it's just backstory, detail upon detail, tie-in upon tie-in. Sometimes it's nice just to have the setup, then you have the fall, and then you have the Great Ascension. And you have that simple story structure within Dune, Lynch's version of Dune. To me, it's like
Fair enough.
And I like it, and I love it work. And there's just the one-liners, the quotes. It's amazing. But I digress.
Wait, we've digressed. I'm shocked.
But let's just set up first because, well, I've seen the movie. I also seen the Dune, the miniseries from SciFi from 2002. Yeah,
I think the original was
just
2000 and the sequel is 2003.
Yeah. I've seen the one from 2000, which I did not particularly enjoy at all. I haven't seen the one from 2003. I've heard that one is much better.
It is really good. I was actually hoping that that would spawn at least an adaptation of God Emperor.
Right.
Because I would have loved to have seen what they could do with that imagery. And, of course, more James McAvoy. I'm all for that.
I would argue that God Emperor is basically an unfilmable movie because your main character is a gigantic sandworm with a person's face coming out of it. And my memory of it is that there's not really any kind of like story or action. It's just kind of like philosophical discussions.
Well, which is why my brain kind of exploded after I finished the book. That's why it took me years to get back to the story because I needed to decompress for a very long time. But I think it could have been a very good adaptation if they could have done it properly.
God Emperor of Dune was, I think that was like my dad's favorite book, or one of them anyway. He really loved that story.
Well, it all began with the writer, the author, Frank Herbert, born in 1920. And he published Dune in 1965. These dates are important. This was the 60s.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, and it's actually, he did well. It won a Hugo, and it was the first book to win a Nebula Award for Best Novel. So, yeah. And believe it or not, there's a couple references of Frank Herbert being referred to as the J.R.R. Tolkien of the science fiction world because of the influence he has had on the genre.
Well, Dune is the best-selling science fiction novel of all time.
My God. And it's one of the first authors who created its own universe to play in. So now we have, of course, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but there's also the Duneverse, which is really cool.
Yeah. I think I have most of the Satellite novels. I need to sit down and read them at some point.
Yeah.
I have too many books on my need to read list.
Absolutely.
As usual.
Yeah.
And he got the idea of Dune when he was working on an article in the 50s about the U.S. Department of Ecology working on, I forgot what it was called, but it was like they're introducing some kind of parasite grass to stop the sand dunes in, I think it was out west somewhere.
Yeah, Oregon.
And they were talking about how the danger of this approaching sand could, erase cities and mountains and rivers, and that's where he got the idea for Arrakis.
Arrakis. Love it. Love it.
Well, I mean, there is a theme of among other things, resource management in the series. I mean, the spice only comes from one planet in the galaxy, and if that dries up, you've basically killed the entire every industry known to human civilization at that point.
So he also invented the real-time strategy game.
Yeah, the spice must flow, yes. I'm just going to put this out there. If ever going to do cosplay, and I don't really do cosplay, the one person I would love to do cosplay, which I can actually pull off, is Gurney Halleck, portrayed by Patrick Stewart. I want one of these sand suits, and I can be the best cosplayer out there. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Pretty man.
And if you don't know, I'm kind of like, I look like Patrick Stewart in many ways. I'm bald. More
Can you
mean.
play guitar, though?
Barely. I can smash a guitar, so there we go. Yes, there's that. And what's also interesting is Frank Herbert did not come from money, just the opposite. He wasn't from money. He struggled when he was setting out and worked as a journalist. He's from Oregon originally. He went to University of Washington, but he did not finish his degree. Well, that's interesting.
That's something I can aspire to then.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you can. Hey, Carrie, write 6 books that would base a new genre or create something that's so massively great that your name will live forever in the canons of science fiction.
I will do my best.
That's my plan. As soon as I get some time off from work, so I can actually focus. That's about focusing. Yes.
That's kind of interesting because all of the Dune novels have a very authoritarian bent. Or about people can't rule themselves and about the glory of the god emperor and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of interesting that he came from such humble beginnings.
Yeah, but he was writing against that, right? His point is that it was easy for someone to seize power and to govern by fear, and the typical tyrant. Doesn't matter if it's a benevolent tyrant or not, and he saw that it's problematic to say the least.
I just find it kind of sad.
Go ahead.
I just find it kind of sad that in all the history of the Duneverse, there was apparently never just like a peaceful democracy. It was always some kind of warlord or emperor, and there was always some horrible religious crusade going on, killing billions and billions of people.
Yeah, I'm just reading the Wikipedia article on Frank Herbert, so I'm not sure how accurate this is. Take it for what it is. But it says that Herbert was a strong critic of the Soviet Union. Okay, I can see that. Mm-hmm. He's a distant relative of the controversial Republican Senator Joseph McCarthy, as in that McCarthy.
Oh boy.
Okay. And what else? It says that Herbert believed that governments lied to protect themselves. Yeah, no shit. And that following the infamous Watergate scandal, President Richard Nixon had unwittingly taught an important lesson in not trusting governments. So he's definitely more anti-central government school of thought.
So he would totally be on board with the dear leader right now. That's not comforting.
Yeah, I'm not sure he is or not because the current guy is such an outlier, but who knows? And even if you were a diehard Republican from the 80s, that's very vastly different than, say, the current
that's true.
Intonation of the current Republican Party. So
that's true. Although I do have this image of Trump as Baron Harkonnen. That's right. That is actually very frightening. I may need a drink.
Yes,
or something.
Yeah, so our email is SciFiPubcast.space. Please send your email there so that we can respond to any criticisms. Cheers. Okay.
Apologies.
Okay. All right, where were we? Right.
We were talking about the origins of Dune.
Yes.
Frank Herbert.
And the themes of Dune.
Oh, yes. Yeah, with evolution and ecology and the intersection of religion, politics, and power. Wow, it's almost like I just stole that line from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I've read that Dune was the first ecological novel or sci-fi novel and started a whole new movement in science fiction about, preserving environments and planets and whatnot.
That makes sense.
I can see that, and that's something I think the world badly needs right now.
I think it's also a lesson in why you should diversify your sources of stuff, because I think if they had maybe put their minds to it, maybe they could have found an alternative to spice at some point, or I don't know. I'm just throwing shit against the wall right now.
Yeah, it's actually interesting if you compare spice to, say, oil in the real world. And how Herbert ties in so many references to the Middle East and Islam. Yeah, he stole a lot of stuff where he influenced, he used things in real world to influence his storytelling.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that. I've attended a couple of seminars on the intersection of capitalism and energy politics and the environment, and if you start to delve too deep into it, it's really scary stuff. One of my best friends, if she were here, she could talk your ears off for hours about all that.
Yeah. So let's figure out what actually is spice. What is it? Do we know? The spice melange.
It's either worm shit or worm barf.
I thought it's what made girls nice, like puppy dog tails for boys.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So it opens up time and space, guys. Time and space. In fact, it's if you're reading. There's actually a Wikipedia article on the spice melange. It's most essentially invaluable commodity in the universe because it's a drug that gives the user a longer lifespan, greater vitality, and heightened awareness. It can also unlock prescience. Thank you. Prescience in some humans, depending
Makes them psychic.
Yes, depending on the dosage and the consumer's physiology. Ooh.
So basically, it's LSD.
Yeah.
But it's also what allows the navigators to fly between planets. So again, this is basically an essential resource for interplanetary travel, but it only comes from one planet. You would think they would try to figure out some other way of doing that.
Well, I did read that they tried.
They would try to find some other. Yeah, they tried. They basically tried. I think it's in Messiah or Children of Dune where they try kidnapping a worm and transporting it to a different planet, and it doesn't survive there.
He just gets sad and dies.
It just gets sad and dies. Gets sad. The worms only live on this one planet. They can't survive. They can only survive in desert. So the whole concept of greening Arrakis would cause the extinction of the one resource the entire galaxy uses.
Interesting. So what happens? Like, okay, I don't know the book. So at the end of the movie, the Lynch's movie, yes, it rains and water comes down, which is another valuable commodity. Does that kill the worms?
I believe so. Yes.
Well, not all. Like, what happens as the novels go on is that they slowly start turning parts of the planet green, but not all of it. So basically, they're reducing the habitat area of the Shai-Hulud, and the concern is that eventually they'll just kill them altogether if they keep greening the planet. And then, at that point, the storyline jumps forward like 10,000 years or something. So I don't know what happens after that.
Yeah, apparently there's a whole timeline. It's like 15,000 years in total. At the very beginning of the timeline, there was a huge war between the humans and the robots. And
I was reading the synopses of the books for this, and I want to read these books. It sounds really cool. It was called the Butlerian Jihad.
Yeah.
It was three books that came out.
They mentioned in the original books, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's mentioned in passing, but it actually sounds really cool because since Dune is since the series is so anti-technology, it's really interesting to think about what it would be like to see actual sentient robots running around in that kind of franchise. So I'm really interested in reading those books.
Well, I mean, that's why they had like the Mentats and stuff. Like the Mentats were basically like human computers.
Yeah, because of the AI takeover. After that, they outlawed all forms of artificial intelligence, and they were forced to use the human mind to do those things instead for calculations and for interstellar travel and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Guys. But yeah, I want to hear what these evil robots
This is like the extreme ends to a society without technology. They just use humans for everything, and yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
If only they had abacuses, they wouldn't need them then.
Yes.
Those would have to be really big abacuses. Abaci.
Well, that's why the Highliner spaceships are so big, because they got these huge abacuses and they got to move the beads around.
Wow. All right. Okay. There. Okay. So we're talking about the novels. And actually, I do recommend if you go to this website called DuneNovels.com. It's an official website that has all the books there. I think it's an essential website for everything Dune. So check that out. And there's some short stories as well, which I've never read.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's 6 Frank Herbert original novels, and then there's 13 Kevin J. Anderson / Brian Herbert novels, and then there's a series of short stories as well.
Yeah.
So of these new books, there's the Butlerian Jihad trilogy, which I mentioned, which takes place thousands of years before Dune. And then there was a prelude to Dune trilogy, which took place immediately before the first Dune book, and it's about the Atreides and the Harkonnens and why they don't like each other. And the Carrinos. And then there was a 2-part series called Heroes of Dune that was kind of like an interquel in that it took place after Dune, but it was also Paul's backstory when he was younger. So some of it was, in between Dune and Dune Messiah, and then some of it was him as a kid.
Yeah, I think that was Sands of Dune are basically billed as books 7 and 8.
Actually, these are still.
I know there's a book 7. There's a quote unquote book 7 and 8 somewhere in there. I just don't remember which ones they are.
Yeah, so these are like all side stories, and then there's also the Great Schools of Dune trilogy, which is a prequel about the history of the Bene Gesserit and everything. And then the son and Kevin J. Anderson, they completed the original story based on his father's notes. Dune 7 became 2 books because ching ching. And those were the I forget the names there now, but yeah, they did books 7 and 8 that completed the storyline that was begun in books 5 and 6. And I'm curious to read those too because they tie into the backstory. I don't want to say how because it's a spoiler, but yeah, I'm very curious to read the Machine Takeover trilogy because that sounds cool, and I also want to read Dune 7 and 8, which finishes the story, and then nothing takes place after that. So Dune 8, that's the end of the chronology. All these additional books, they're all prequels and histories and that sort of thing.
I am so behind on my readings.
Yeah, I had no idea there were this many books. I mean, I knew that there were 1 or 2 out there, and I have a couple of them on my bookshelf that I never read, but I didn't know that there were 13 of them. My God. That's
a lot of content.
So. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, before we dive into the movies proper, let's just mention now, because, what's a franchise without merchandise, right?
With the real money from the movies.
Yes. So there's actually a comic book on Dune from 1984. Marvel did a series in 1985. There's board games. Yes, board games. There's Evelyn Hill's Dune board game from 1979. And there's also Parker Brothers board game from 1984. And there's a card game called Dune. It's original, another title that is, from 1997. And there's a short-lived role-playing game from 2000 called Dune, Chronicles of the Imperium. Who knew? See,
nice.
Board games is my new love in life. I want to learn and play as many board games as possible. Don't ask why, please. So,
I have a vague memory of playing a Dune computer game that was a real-time strategy game.
Yeah, and in fact, there's a few video games out there as well. Because why wouldn't there be? So the first
there's video games for everything, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so there's 4 of them. There's Dune, 1992. There's Dune 2, which is also from 1992. That's kind of strange. I don't know why. There's Dune 2000, which is from 1998, so that's a misnomer. And there's Emperor Battle for Dune, 2001. Oh, wait, and there's another one, so there'd be 5 video games. Frank Herbert's Dune from 2001. Have you guys played any of these video games?
I must have played the one from 2000 because that's.
I remember seeing one of them. I don't remember which one, but I couldn't afford to pick it up at the time, and my computer was crap, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Yeah. You can find out more information about these video games if you go to the Wikipedia article on Dune. They have entries for most of them. So I know we may have some listeners or some customers who are really into the gaming, and there's a place for that, of course. I just wish I had time to actually get into video games.
Yeah, you and me both. I miss gaming.
Yeah. The last time I actually game hard was probably the 80s. I'm pathetic. That's the 1980s, just to clarify. So.
Well, I hope you're not talking about the 1880s.
Oh, that'd be completely time shift and everything. The whole space time continuum. Wormholes and
weird.
The multiverse. Yeah, that's not this type of show. That's a different podcasting genre. So, yes, but let's go back because I want to make this point. Let's go back to the 1984 film Dune by David Lynch. Yes, David
Okay.
Lynch, which is a great director who basically blows people's minds because nothing is ever clear. He did Mulholland Drive from 2001, Blue Velvet, Twin Peaks. This fellow is in his 70s now, so and he just did the Twin Peaks new
Revival.
Thank you. So he's bizarre. Like he did original the surrealist horror film Eraserhead from 1977 and Elephant Man from 1980 and all of that. He's, like I said earlier, he does fucked up movies. And I love him for that. And out of all his movies, Dune is probably the least fucked up one. So because again, they shot so much footage, and they really had to take the knife when they were editing, and I believe that really helped the movie out. I do have one thing. So at the beginning of the movie, when the Navigator shows up in front of the Emperor, he has his entourage. So all these guys in black, right? And they on either side of the Navigator's little machine, that the really spooky kind of like semi-tank version, like tank.
It's like
right?
it's a tank.
Yeah. Okay. And so after they do the scene and the Navigator actually exits the throne room, what's up with the guy with the mop?
The guy with the mop.
There's a guy with a sweeper, right? And he's the only guy with it. And so you have all this liquid on the floor of the throne room, and he's not catching any of it. He's just simply going around just using the mop.
Well, it's a super absorbent mop. We don't know how much stuff he's actually getting up with that mop.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the future, Joel.
This is actually a mime on the whole .com thing out there. I think they call it the internet. It goes around. It's amazing. Okay.
Oh dear.
I love the David Lynch's movie, and it's Patrick Stewart. You have all these people. It just visually it's outstanding, and to me, yes, it's science fiction, but it has such so many aspects of fantasy and just the traditional archetypes.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember loving just the visual design of it, the sets and the costumes, the way everything looked.
Yeah.
The sci-fi miniseries, it's much more traditional visually.
Oh, yeah, and we'll move on that shortly because I just to me it's just two very different takes on the whole Dune world or Duneverse. And you look at the Lynch's film is that you have people like Max von Sydow. Hey, wasn't he in like a movie recently that we all know? 2 years ago.
He's Vigo. You are but the buzzing of flies to him.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I know he was. I know he was in Star Wars.
Yeah. Like Linda Hunt. Like these are really strong actors, and this came out in '84. Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, we fast forward to 2000 and the sci-fi 3-part miniseries called Dune. And I actually watched it because my Aunt Barb from upstate New York, for some reason, had a copy of this, and she lent it to me. And I'm looking. To me, it's just so very much like theater. So you have scenes. To me, it's like scene. Okay, scene's done. Change scene on stage. Okay, scene 2, start.
It is close to the book because the book is very dialogue heavy.
To the book.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's the miniseries that finally got me to read Dune because I do remember watching the David Lynch movie. I think I might have watched it at least once when I was in high school, and I looked at it and I went, "Why would I read the book? This is weird."
Right.
I mean, that's the problem with doing a literal adaptation of a novel because a novel is mostly just people talking and then more people talking and then more people talking. It's not as kinetic and action.
I have no problem with dialogue with a dialogue-heavy movie. I have no problems with that.
Yeah, just the pacing was just so because in many it was so long and dragged out. It's like watching a science fiction version of a Shakespearean play, and there's a time and place for that. It's just some parts of it. It was like watching paint dry. Maybe it's
liked it.
It's good.
They did have very large sets, though. I'm watching it right now on mute. I mean, the rooms that they're in are massive. So kudos for that.
Hey, to each your own. And more science fiction is good science fiction, in my opinion. Bring it out there, and it's another way we can get more Dune in our world. That's the thing. The guy, the bigger guy, the heavy set guy,
Baron Harkonnen?
yeah. So in the miniseries, Ian McNeice. Yeah, you know where I know Ian McNeice from?
No.
He plays the town news guy in the HBO TV series Rome.
Oh, I never saw it.
So he's in the forum and he shouts the news at people, and that's where I know him from. Because it's funny because he's given the news. Read this. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. Read this. So so that's where I know Ian McNeice from. He's a great actor.
I would just. I mean, it was nice to see the first. It was nice to see the first miniseries, but when the second miniseries came out, I suddenly was like, wow, Alec Newman needs to start playing characters who live through stuff, because I think he did Children of Dune, and then he did an episode of True Calling where he died, and then he did a miniseries, that miniseries of Frankenstein where he played Dr. Frankenstein. He died in that, yeah, and then he was on Enterprise and got himself killed on that too. So it's just like, okay, Alec Newman's the new Sean Bean.
Fair enough. Okay, Carrie, talk to me and describe Frank Herbert's Children of Dune. So that's the follow-up from the Dune miniseries.
So Children of Dune is basically a combination of Dune Messiah and Children of Dune, which actually works because there isn't a lot going on in Messiah, and it worked to shove them together that way. So basically, it's the aftermath of Paul Atreides taking power, and he and I forget his wife's name. Chani have twins. She doesn't survive childbirth. He decides to walk off into the desert instead of raising his kids. Also, he was
blinded.
He was blind, but he was blind, but he could see.
Right, but in the Fremen tradition, if you get mortally wounded like that, you have to walk off into the desert to die because they can't take care of weak people.
Right. But he could still see.
Right, but by using his prescience power, but the problem with that was that by using it to see, he basically became a puppet of the timeline. Yeah. Like he had no self-control anymore because he was just enacting events he was foreseeing.
Right.
He didn't like that.
So then the second and third parts are basically Children of Dune, which is the twins, Leto and Ganima, I think. Ganima. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it and read it. And basically it's about, because Alia, Paul's sister, has basically been ruling in Paul's place, and she's become kind of a tyrant. So it's kind of like wresting power away from her, and it basically sets up for God Emperor, because by the end of the miniseries, Leto has joined himself with the worm, and that sounds dirty. But basically, he
got the worm inside him.
Well, he got the worms all over him. Basically.
Oh yeah, all over.
Don't
get enough of them.
Now, here's the weird thing is that I appreciate that they aged the children the way they did. I think they were both supposed to be 18, so they would have taken over rule for Paul anyway. But in the books, the children are 8.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the twins are 8 in the book when Children of Dune happens, and it's just like. So I'm glad they aged the children for the sake of the miniseries, because ew. Yeah.
The other thing I noticed is that in the novel Dune, Paul is only 15 years old when the story starts.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I'm just thinking to myself, what have I accomplished on this world? I'm in my 40s compared to these people. Yeah, I'm getting depressed now. Great.
You and me both, Joel.
Like no one shows up to my front door and say, "Put your hand in this box." Yeah, I'm waiting for the day that I get the door knock on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The pain. Yes. Oh well.
But I mean, the miniseries have had some pretty good actors. I mean, I can't even think right now. Not John Hurt.
Yeah, John Hurt was Duke Leto. Alec Newman was Paul. Oh,
yeah.
and
William Hurt, not John Hurt.
Yeah.
Who's the guy from Split? James McAvoy.
James McAvoy was Leto the
young
second.
Leto in Children of Dune.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't wear a shirt the whole way through.
Yep. I so don't object to that at all. Let's see. The second one, the second miniseries, Susan Sarandon plays one of the Carinos. Alice Kurge they recast Jessica, and Alice Kurge is playing Jessica in the second one.
Just like she was recast as the Borg Queen.
But then she came back for the finale.
Oh, that's right. She was the original Borg Queen, and then Susanna Thompson was the replacement. That's right.
Yes, and then Alice Kurge came back for the finale.
Good for her.
Yes.
Interesting, guys. Hey, here's a question for you.
Yes.
A few minutes ago, you mentioned how was it Paul who got exiled to the desert? Who got exiled? Right. Okay. What's the relationship between sound and sight? Because spice is used to see, but the sound of the worms are attracted to sound. Also, the House Atreides developed a weapon system based on sound. I just wonder what Herbert was getting at when he set up these contrasts. Have any thoughts?
No idea.
I'm just thinking about Daredevil now.
Yeah, there's that. Sometimes silence is golden. Okay. Not in podcasting.
Well, I mean, if you are blind, then your primary sense of detection is going to become sound.
True.
Enlightening. What else? Okay, this also one of my favorites. It's not a Dune version. It's could have been a Dune movie. So in 2013, there was a documentary that got released that won a whole whack of awards at the Toronto Film Festival and at cons and all over the place, called Jodorowsky's Dune. And the tagline is, the greatest science fiction movie never made. So Alexandre Jodorowsky is a Chilean-French film director from the avant-garde movement. Think like 50s, 60s, 70s, very alternative, new wave, really bizarre. Like, oh my God, that's kind of silly nowadays. But for that time period, it's like, whoa, yes. It was a bit risque, to say the least. And he almost made it. They were about to actually start production when the studio pulled the pin. And that would have been in 1973, and the film would have been released about 1975. And though, if you watch the documentary, one of the questions that's asked is that, could have this version of Dune, so Jodorowsky's Dune, could this have been like Star Wars, but 2 years before? Because Star Wars, A New Hope, it wasn't called A New Hope at the time period, came out in 1977. So could we have had 42 years of Dune legacy as opposed to Star Wars? What do you guys think?
I predict that it would have been a bomb because they wouldn't have had the groundbreaking special effects that George Lucas and ILM developed. So it would have been an interesting story and an interesting visual design, but the actual production would have looked terrible.
You think because they were going after, was it Douglas Turnbull? The guy who did 2001.
Oh, that I don't know about. I'll admit 2001 does look amazing.
And he helped with Star Wars.
Was slow, static model shots. Like there were no actual action scenes in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they could have portrayed, like the giant sandworms or spaceships fighting each other or anything like that with any kind of convincing reality.
What do you think, Carrie?
I don't know. I mean, I saw the trailer that you posted in the show notes, and I don't know how that would have worked. I have this weird vision of them trying to get this off the ground, getting this out, and then that suddenly killing the entire sci-fi genre because it bombed so badly.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, it literally is like so out there. It was so hippie-ish, new wave, and so bizarre, so alien definitely mind expanding. It will be like Dune on LSD, even more so than the David Lynch version.
I think I might have preferred the David Lynch version to that version.
The craziest thing to me was that Salvador Dali was going to play the Emperor, the famous painter.
Oh yeah, and Orson Welles is going to be involved. Mick Jagger. It was just nuts. Some of the people who was about to take part in this film.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's just wow, what could have been.
I love the story that Salvador Dali insists on being paid an exorbitant amount of money an hour. So then the director decided to work it out so that they only actually used Dali for a single hour, and then after that they would have like a stand-in puppet fit emperor for other people to act against. So they basically do 1 hour of close-ups of Dali for his fee, and then just have like a dummy puppet standing there for the rest of the scenes.
Oh,
yeah, because that would have worked.
Oh, and of course, who was going to do some of the design, production design? H.R. Geiger from Alien fame. So Giger, how to say his name?
I saw that too.
Yeah,
and it sounds like the movie Alien basically came out of the failed production of this because Geiger was doing drawings and Dan O'Bannon was one of the writers working on Dune. And it's Dan O'Bannon who would create Alien and who would hire Geiger to do all the design for it because he knew him from Dune.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, Jodorowsky wanted his 12-year-old son, Brontis, to play the role of Paul Atreides. So he would have
Of course he would have.
Yeah, of course. No acting experience, but as a 12-year-old, I want my son to play. See this documentary because it's only an hour and a half long, and it's just, wow, it's so interesting. The could have been or would have been, and how would that affect the genre of science fiction? I don't think the 10-year-old me will appreciate that as much as I did when I saw David Lynch's version. To be quite honest with you.
No. Yeah. Like I said, I think that could have killed the entire genre.
Mm. And Jodorowsky, he was openly like he didn't care about the novels. He didn't care about staying true to Frank Herbert's version of what the story was. He just wanted to use this world and twist it to his own version. So he wanted to bastardize the novel so badly. I won't go into the documentary, but he used a very naughty word to describe the process. So, it went way beyond just a simple adaptation. Which raises the question, when you do these things, should you stay true to the original novel, or is there room to fudge it a bit, or do you take it as a source of inspiration and run with it in a completely different direction?
I think it depends on how you're doing it. I mean, if you change a story so much that it's not even the original story, why bother calling it that anymore? So, like, if they had changed Dune so much that it's not even the story of Dune anymore, why bother calling it Dune? They could have just called it something else.
Yeah, copyright infringement. That's why.
Yeah, fear is a mind killer. Remember that. Fear is a mind killer.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost impossible to do a direct literal interpretation of a book. I mean, for one thing, books are a lot longer. So you're obviously going to have to change things no matter what. And, a book is a very different medium than film. Film is visual. It's about action and movement. And a book is about people talking. So changes have to be made. The important thing is that you retain the spirit of what the book was trying to achieve and the best scenes of it, and get rid of the stuff that would just be death on film, where it's just people talking at one another for hours on end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true. But it never got made. We moved on. 40 years passed, 50 years passed. Guess what, guys? They're
doing another one.
They're doing another one. Yes, and I think this one's going to be great. It looks like it's going to be a two-parter. So it's going to be good. Right, okay. And the director is this French-Canadian fellow by the name of Denis Villeneuve. Wait a second. We've heard of this guy before, haven't we?
Nah, I haven't heard of him before.
Yeah, I really like this guy. He did, among his works, he did the Blade Runner 2049 in 2017. And he did Arrival from 2016, which I really like.
That was a good movie.
And of course, 2015 was the Mexican drug cartel Sakara. So
did he do the sequel as well, or just that?
no, just that
No, he
one.
did not do the sequel.
Yeah. So he's a very visual guy. He's very much. I think he has the right temperament to get Dune right. So hopefully he doesn't let us down. And it looks like they might start. Well, they're in pre-production right now, and from the news articles I've read, it looks like they might start production in February 2019. That's like 8 months. Like they still have time to cast me.
Yeah, I was about to say, have they cast anyone yet?
There's talk about one of the main leads. Just trying to figure out who it is. I saw it. It's going to be a young Paul Atreides. Like he's going to be like 16 or something. And,
okay,
I don't.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, especially if what you're saying is the Paul was 15 in the original book.
Yeah,
makes sense.
I don't know the actor's name. It's just gossip, anyways. So
movies get announced so often on.
Yeah,
I don't believe they're happening until I actually see footage or a trailer.
Yeah,
and plus the if I'm remembering correctly, I think the first novel of the first Dune novel takes place there. There's like at least 5 years that go by in the book,
something
like that.
Yeah.
Like there's once the coup happens and Paul and Jessica are forced out into the desert. I think they're out there for at least 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
And the first Dune novel was actually originally published from 63 to 64 as a what do you call it? Like a series of short novellas in a magazine.
Yeah.
So there was actually 3 different mini books. The first one, of course, being ending with the coup, and then the next 2 when he was living with the Fremen.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yes. I'm excited. I really am. Hopefully this movie that we make is going to be great, and it opens up another franchise for the fandom community to take part in.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, can't wait for that. What else? Of course, the one last thing I want to make sure we hit is just so many great lines from the Lynch's film. The quotes, it just boggles my mind that it's like Star Wars quotes to me. I can just go on all day. Do you guys share with that, or do you think I'm completely off my rocker?
Nah. I quote weird stuff too.
Long live the fighters, and put your right hand in the box. What's in the box? Pain. Oh, I love that. So.
I say, if you walk without rhythm, you won't attract the worm every day of my life.
Yes. Why not? And I highly recommend.
So much.
Yeah, I'm trying to follow a lot in my own personal life, but I recommend actually spending some time in the desert. So it's good for your yes, it's good for your overall mental and physical health.
It's a dry heat. The sweat evaporates right off your body.
Yes,
nice.
Yes, the desert. Yes. All right. Any other thoughts on the whole Duneverse and Dune and Frank Herbert and everything else?
One thing that I thought was interesting was the treatment of women in the story. Obviously, it's not something I noticed when I was like a kid reading these books, but it seems to me like women either are evil or exist to service the men. Like there aren't any kind of strong, independent female characters in it. The Bene Gesserits are kind of this, little conspiratorial sect trying to manipulate everyone to their own ends. And then the wives of Paul are just kind of like, they just, they want to have his children, or they're mad that they can't have his children. There's not really kind of like the women don't really exist on their own.
Chani seemed pretty independent.
Well, she was like a tough, strong person initially, but then after that, it was all about, I can't have Paul's children. And then she finds out that she was being given the infertility drug, and, now I can have his children, and I'm going to die after I have his children, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right, but is that a product of the time period it was written in?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the first one was written in the 60s and then 70s and 80s. Yeah. Oh, that was another thing that I also saw pointed out in an article. The only homosexual character, Baron Harkonnen, is portrayed as this fat, lecherous evil
exactly.
slob.
Yeah. Bring him in the floating fat man. Yeah, to quote the line from Lynch's film.
I don't know. I just think
Yeah.
it's weird that this is thousands and thousands of years in the future, but women are, second-class characters still, and there's no democracy. It's all just rich white men ruling everything.
Yeah, I think that's completely
Yeah.
fair in its criticism. And I'm looking at that. You're right. It's about power structure and who's in power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder if the many, many, many spin-off novels that have been written more recently, I don't know whether those, try to right that wrong or not. Reading the synopses, it didn't really sound like it, but I can't say for sure.
Interesting. Any other thoughts?
No, I think we've hit on pretty much everything.
Well then, damn the spice. Get out of there. Sire, we can't leave all the spice. Damn the spice. Get out of there. Okay. All right, let's wrap this up. And we may revisit this topic at a later date because it's so good in many ways.
Yeah.
So this is it for the episode of the Sci-Fi Pubcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Sci-Fi Pubcast. You can follow our network Twitter at Nerds Attack Pods. You can like us on Facebook. Derek does a Facebook page. I do the Twitter page. There's also a network page called When Nerds Attack, so you can like our network on Facebook. There's just way too much social media. I get confused anymore. You can leave us an Apple Podcast review. Please do, because we need the traffic, and please don't hate us too much. And if you leave us a positive Apple Podcast review, I'll send you a sticker. Yes, you get your very own Sci-Fi Pubcast sticker. That's the type of guy I am. You can send us an email at management@scifipubcast.space. I can be found on Twitter, my personal address at Joel, Joel _Welch, WELCH. Carrie, what's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is Carrie Blackfire42. That's KERI Blackfire42.
And Derek?
I am at Derek J. Beebe.
Great, guys. And that's about it. Randall Graham sends his regrets. He got busy this afternoon. Randall will be on the show when he can. He's a very busy fellow, and we love him dearly. Okay, guys, this is closing time. Please make it home safe. We'll see you next time. Bye.
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 Music provided courtesy of Logan Rathbone. Podcast logo by Drew M. Copyrighted Joe Welch. Listen responsibly, and we can't wait for your next visit to our fine establishment. Cheers.